And let's try this a second time. If you're just catching up, well, you're not catching up at all. I just recorded 5 minutes of content and found out that my microphone wasn't plugged in. Idiot. Hello, boys and girls. You're now listening if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, and watching if you're on YouTube. Peter Talks Sports. This is the second episode of Peter Talks Sports. And for those who are in, to know the backstory, if you don't know it yet, I'll tell you again, and I'll tell you quickly. I wanted to do a sports podcast for quite some time. I'm wrapped up in the wrestling world, like I do Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, Peter's Raw Recap, Peter Talks SmackDown, and all the specials I do when I'm talking about maybe pay-per-views for Ring of Honor and New Japan, right? But I love sports. I love sports more than a motherfucker. So I want to do a podcast where like anything between, depending on the news, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 20 minutes of just me talking about hot takes and the top sports stories of the week, either from the past weekend and the lead stories Monday that will journey through the sports cycle for the week ahead. I do these every Tuesday. This is the second one. Every Tuesday, I will be doing these. All right? And again, you got sensationalism out there when it comes to sports talk with hot takes and all that shit. This isn't the place you want to go for if you want first take, hot takes, sensationalism, the greatest, the best, the top 10, all that sort of definitive crap. I'm not about that crap. I'm just about logic, and I'm about just making sense and have just a decent conversation about certain things that happen in the sports world. I'm the same way when I talk about wrestling. If you listen to my wrestling podcast, if you listen to other people's wrestling podcasts, there's seriously a slim amount of people that just talk logic and common sense and not like bitch and moan and whine about like this, that, and the other because someone done pissed you off. Like, I'm not that invested. I love it, but I'm not that invested where my feelings are hurt. So this is what you're going to get out of Peter Talks Sports. Being the second one, Happy New Year. And in the last one, I was talking about what is the etiquette of wishing people Happy New Year. Okay, today is the 5th. I just paid fucking rent. And I want to know, you, the listener, or if you're watching, hit me up, Ellen Japanese, on Twitter, LinJapanese, or leave a comment below of the etiquette. When do you stop telling people Happy New Year? I'm the type of motherfucker that would tell a motherfucker Happy New Year in March. Because you know how it goes with people. You run into people you see all the time. You see them, you wish them a Happy New Year, you keep it moving. But man, sometimes you don't run into a motherfucker for the first time until maybe February, March, April, May. We go to May. And I still wish them a Happy New Year because hell, I haven't seen them since. But just to, how would I say? Just the bottom line. Is it until the Super Bowl? Is it after the national championship? Is it the beginning of the playoffs? Like, I don't know. Someone tell me. I would like to know the definitive, that's the only definitive I really care about, the definitive moment where you stop telling people Happy New Year. Is it in the first week, second week, third week? Does it go into February? Please answer that question for me. So we're going to get into this podcast, and I want to talk about everything that happened, not everything, just a quick take on what happened with the college football playoff. Anyway, you had Clemson defeating Oklahoma, Alabama defeating Michigan State. The pairing of this shit was garbage. It didn't make for any suspense. It didn't make for anything. And plus it was on fucking New Year's Eve. Right? And I think they did that on purpose because, next year it will be Saturday. It would be New Year. It would be New Year's Eve on Saturday. They're going to own Saturday football all day. And the ratings were crap. I mean, they took a dip. I think for the most case, nobody was watching TV. I mean, a lot of people watch TV, but maybe a lot of people watching at the bar because they were already out. It wasn't like they were at home barbecuing and shit, hanging out with friends and watching the game on the TV. It's like a bunch of people watching one TV at the bar. So maybe that was part of the ratings. It's New Year's. No one wants to fucking be in the house on New Year's. And the pairing, Clemson, they did what they had to do to Oklahoma. Maybe that was a little bit of suspense, but for the most part, Clemson just dominated. And Alabama not only dominated Michigan State, they destroyed Michigan State. And it shouldn't have been this pairing. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you go conspiracy theory, but I'm not. Maybe Clemson should have won against Michigan State. It would have been a better game. And Alabama should have played Oklahoma. And it should have played Oklahoma and Texas. Yes, they should have played Oklahoma and Texas. More people from Oklahoma would have been able to show up to it. And it would have given a little bit of edge because obviously Alabama they were the favorite. Oklahoma wouldn't have been the favorite. But you know what? If AT&T would have turned into they could have competed with the Alabama. They could have competed. I mean, Oklahoma, the Sooners, they travel well. That's part of their gimmick. It's a wagon. They travel. They would have fucking filled that damn AT&T stadium, and they would have went up against the fucking Alabama. It would have been a great game, and just from the pure chaos in the stands of just the support that the Oklahoma team could have had, they could have made that into a better game. But nope. Everyone knew. I mean, they're not gonna play naive. They wanted it that way. The playoff people wanted it that way. Condoleezza Rice wanted it that way. They wanted a clear-cut victor between both teams. And they wanted Clemson, and they wanted Alabama. And those fuckers, seriously, at the playoff, Condoleezza and them, they want Alabama to win. It's good for college football for Alabama to win. Nick Saban and all that shit. It's not good for football if Clemson wins. It's not good if an ACC team wins. It's good for the SEC to fucking take home a goddamn college football playoff championship. Ohio State has one. They got the first one. The last championship was fucking Florida State. You know, they started ESPN and they cahoots and dick sucking of the SEC. They made a fucking channel and they got nothing to show for it. Nothing. I really hope, I predict that Clemson will win. Their offense is as good as their defense, and their defense is as good as their offense. Alabama's offense, nowhere close to as good as their defense. They don't have a well-balanced attack, and who the fuck is their quarterback? I don't know. I'm just saying. Clemson has a better chance of winning this than Alabama. And the only way that Clemson doesn't have a chance, if the fix is in, if there's more yellow flags and more calls during the game, or if Clemson just defeat themselves. Some motherfucker goes rogue and costs them a heavy penalty that they aren't able to bounce back from. So Clemson versus Alabama will be Monday, January 11th in the University of Phoenix Stadium. And again, who you think's going to win and why, put it send me a 140 character prediction to Twitter, Ellen Japanese, one word, LINJAPANESE, or leave a comment below. Let's talk about the NFL and Black Monday. Now, a lot of Black Mondays happened before Black Monday, but there's a lot of job openings. There's six job openings in the NFL right now. And I'll say that one at the end. I'll talk more about New York at the end. So Chip Kelly gets fired. And we've already had that discussion last week. There's already talks of him going to San Francisco. Joe Philbin for Miami Dolphins, he got fired too. He got canned. Mike Pettit Petten at Cleveland, and that whole weirdness that's happened down there, they'll never get it right down there. I don't know what it is. I root for the fucking Cleveland Browns. I'm probably one of few people that will honestly say that I'm a bandwagon Cleveland Browns fan. Like, how can you be a bandwagon Cleveland Browns fan? Like, don't you want to bandwagon someone who's winning? Don't you want to bandwagon the Seahawks? Don't you want to bandwagon Pittsburgh Steelers? Don't you want to bandwagon the Denver Broncos? I mean, I've been a Carolina fan since I grew up a San Francisco 49ers fan. And then when I started watching the sports again after my stint overseas, I became a Carolina Panther fan. Why not? So I was there with Jake Delhomme and all of them. And we started to suck. And then up through the Cam Newton the first 3 years, just suck. But I stuck with him. So I'm a fan now. I'm not a bandwagon because I feel like I've been with them for a while, I'm not a meathead. I hate fucking football meatheads. And there's a lot of Carolina fans right now, like people I know who are just like, have all kind of like become more and more like meatheads about it. Before they were just fans. And now they're just like meatheads. It's like, fuck, we're not Pittsburgh, man. We need to cut that shit out. Like, clean it up. Panthers fans, we're not fucking entitled. I would like to think that we're not entitled. We don't have a legacy to be as entitled as we are. Point being, I love the Cleveland Browns. I love the debacle down there. I love the fuck ups. I love like just self-defeating. I love the storyline. It's beautiful. It's one team, I swear to God, I want to say, hey, I've been rooting for these guys for a while when they finally get it right and they can get to the playoffs and make a run for it. But it ain't going to help constantly changing out quarterbacks, constantly changing out fucking coaches. That's a lot of shit that went down there, man. A lot of bullshit happened in Cleveland over the past 2 years, especially the whole Josh Gordon thing. Who's at fault for that? The quarterback situation. McCown or the hell is that dude's name? Hoyer. All that stuff that went down. Now you got Johnny Manziel's crazy ass. Like, dude, like, I love this storyline. I just come together. It's not gonna keep. I wish they would have kept him. I wish they would have kept that fucking coach. He had too much going against him. Jim Tomsula, San Francisco, let his ass go. Again, they're talking to Chip Kelly, and he got fired. And fucking Jim Harbaugh sent a tweet, man, a cryptic ass tweet that said, "Don't be deceived. You will reap what you sow." So you look at fucking Harbaugh. He's the last guy you think is gonna hit the fucking Twitters, right? He hit it fucking this weekend. And he called out this Jim dude, and he called out those fuckers in the exec booths at San Francisco because they do not get along. It's like he wished hell and damnation on those fuckers. And they're going to replace Harbaugh. They're already talking about replacing him with Chip Kelly. Another egomaniac. I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting any better. You're gonna get rid of Harbaugh, an ego megalomaniac, a guy that is a proven winner, with your fucking football team, your professional football franchise, made it to the fucking Super Bowl, then make it to the NFC Championship. Chip Kelly came over from Oregon, his little high-powered offense. Yeah, he had two 10-win seasons. But then this year, he fucking got the GM spot and he fucking cleared house. And now he stinks and now he's unemployed. Because he's a fucking, he didn't want to let go of personnel, authority and shit. And now he's going to go to San Francisco? What are you doing, 49ers? Y'all tripping. Y'all cleared out house, sent all your pieces away. You got Kaepernick on the bench while fucking Blaine Gabbert is slicing and dicing defenses in the NFC. And now you're going to bring in fucking Chip Kelly. Idiots. And then the most fucking surprising one, and I'll speak briefly because I swear the New York media, the New York fan base is probably the most entitled, spoiled fucking fan base to date. Anyone who's been asking for Tom Coughlin's fucking head as the New York fucking Giants coach, you're a bunch of idiots. This guy won y'all 2 Super Bowls with like lackluster seasons. 8 wins, 7 wins. You get into the playoffs with momentum. He's coaching his ass off. Manning is playing his ass off. Y'all win 2 fucking championships over the Patriots of all team. I would love a coach like that had that kind of pedigree. Any team would just be like, nah, he just won us 2 fucking Super Bowls over the past 6-7 years. Oh yeah, he stinks. Get him out of there. You guys are idiots. And I don't see you guys doing any better. You got that whiny, pissy punk of a fucking wide receiver in Odell Beckham who showed his true colors. He's going to be a case. You still got injuries. You got a guy playing with one hand out there. Jason Pierre-Paul, that guy. You know? What's going on? What's going on with Salsa Man, huh? What's going on everywhere? Tom Coughlin was the nucleus to that. All of that success. And he just got he got escorted out by security yesterday. Escorted. For what? Thanks for the fucking championships, bro. Thanks. This guy will have a job in 5 minutes. If he hasn't had a job offer yet, he's negotiating. He's sitting with almost every team in the NFL right now. I see him in New Orleans. And this whole talk of Chuck Pagano, now the guy who looked like he had his job taken, would have been taken, he ended up getting an extension, 4-year extension. Chuck Pagano, all season, dead man walking. He's the fuck out of there. Oh yeah, look, he kept his job. Good for him. Good for the Indianapolis Colts. It's about fucking keeping teams together. It's about keeping a cohesive group of people together. You've been together 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years. Just because you don't get results off the bat, and I understand it's about results today. But unless you're the fucking Green Bay Packers, unless you're the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers, unless you're the I'm not even gonna say Dallas Cowboys, and I would throw the fucking Giants in there. But unless you're those top tier teams or the Patriots that have always gone to the big dance, right? You might want to just keep what you got and just let the shit cycle out. Just let the big powerhouse teams cycle to suck. Because after a while, with all the draft picks, yes, that's what happened in the NBA. That's why Golden State is so good right now. Because they have generated so much fucking talent while all the other great on the top teams just got old. But for some reason, that logic doesn't work in the NFL. And right now, the Green Bay Packers are an outlier to this whole thing. What the fuck is happening? They made it to the playoffs. You know, battered and bruised, they made it to the playoffs. But my God, for them to make it as far as they did and all the losses they got, and, you know, it just blows my fucking mind. But Chuck Pagano, he keeps his fucking job. And good for him. Fuck Irsay. Never like Irsay. Never will like Irsay. How that guy was able to slide by still with all that fucking drug and money bullshit. He just was able to be a billionaire and just fucking, just like Peyton Manning. And congratulations, Peyton Manning. You were able to slide right out of it. You got to pass. HGH, you taste so good, you got to fucking pass. And it's not fair. I swear to God, I hope somebody does some more investigating, deep investigating to that fucking shit. Because, again, whoever the fuck was ever blamed or ever accused, someone did some investigation and 9 times out of 10 the shit was true. Oh yeah, he got HGH delivered to his wife. Oh yeah, his wife needs some fucking PEDs. She needs some performance enhancing drugs for some fucking reason. It's sickening, people. It's sickening. And now you have the whole debate with him playing in Denver. Yes, of course. Again, like I've said this before. He is the cash cow. All the ball is in his hand. Brock Osweiler is a good quarterback, but he is a backup quarterback. And regardless of whatever injuries or whatever fucking arm strength or whatever, Brock Osweiler, just like any other backup quarterback that goes in, his job is to be good. His job is to be a backup. If that was the case, you would never hire second quarterbacks. You need a good quarterback to fucking carry on your fucking season when your top guy's down. And when the top guy's healthy enough to get in, he gets in. Now, I hate how shady it was for him to throw 2 picks and then all of a sudden he's not worthy to stay on the fucking field. And then Manny goes in and he gets the fucking win. On top of the fact that he's fucking munching down some fucking HGH on top of Papa John's pizza. It's silly to me. It's fucking silly to me. And by the way, they were in talks. Apparently, the Colts were in talks with Peyton Manning. With Sean Payton. And there's a whole like, did he do it? Did they talk? Did they not talk? Who fucking cares? They probably did talk. And Irsay wanted fucking Peyton. He couldn't get him. What's happening down in New Orleans? Don't even know. Maybe Peyton's last year, but he doesn't want to work with fucking Irsay. I guarantee you that. He's going to go to Miami maybe. And Coughlin is going to go to New Orleans. Those are my predictions. And speaking of predictions, playoffs. It's playoffs. I'm already past 20 minutes, guys. I'm going to get through this quickly. I'm going to look at this bracket here on the way to the Super Bowl. In the first round, we got the Cardinals and the Panthers with the bye. And then in the AFC, you have the Broncos and the Patriots with the bye. We got the Redskins versus the Green Bay Packers. I predict that the Green Bay Packers will go down in flames. They're playing like garbage. Cousins, who will be negotiating contracts, is going to get that win. They're going to move on and play the Panthers where they're going to get trampled. All right? Down with the Seahawks and down the Seahawks and Minnesota, I have the Seahawks winning. They're playing fucking amazing football right now, right? But they do got some injuries. And I would say that, Theodore Bridgewater, and Adrian Peterson, good team, man. Those guys, they could run. If they run the ball, they could win. But I just think the Seahawks defense is just going to destroy them. I don't see Peterson doing that well with the run with those guys out there in the defense, just destroying everyone in sight. I mean, they demolished the Cardinals. The Cardinals got a bye. They demolished them. They're tearing up shit. So I got the Seahawks beating Minnesota and meeting the Cardinals, who they just demolished. And they probably lose to the Cardinals because the Cardinals, I mean, we just lost to the fucking Atlanta Falcons, who got sliced and diced by fucking Blaine Gabbert, right? They prevented us from keeping a perfect season, right? You got fucking... And the first time we played them, we beat the shit out of them. We beat them by like 35 points. Seahawks just demolished, embarrassed the fucking Cardinals. And I think the Cardinals are going to be like, we got your number this time. And I feel like the NFC championship is going to be between Carolina and the Cardinals. And I'll give that prediction when we get there. All right? In the AFC, we got the Bengals versus Pittsburgh Steelers. And as much as the Bengals have been doing well, that injury to Andy Dalton is a motherfucker. Like, straight up, it's a motherfucker, and it's going to affect McCarron coming in from Alabama. He thinks he's fucking Tom Brady. Fuck him. He got there's great tools out there. He got a good running game. But you know what? Andy Dalton, this would have been his 5th trip, and maybe he'll play. But his 5th trip, it's going to be a loss. They're going to lose. They're not going to beat the Steelers. The Steelers are on a roll. They're another team they almost got like destiny behind them. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they've been playing and sort of ducking and dodging and how they ended up in the playoffs. They're like Auburn. They're a sleeper. They're where the Jets should be. So whoever, it could have been the Jets and it could have been the Steelers. But those guys are going to go far. They're going to make it. They're going to make it to the and I feel like the Steelers are going to beat the Patriots and they're going to make it to the AFC Championship. The Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. I got as good as the Texans have been, they still need to do better. They still need to do better. And they're doing their damnness and they're kicking ass, taking names. Next year, maybe, dude. Next year, y'all make it to the AFC Championships. Next year, but not this year. I have Kansas City, a more cohesive unit. Alex Smith at the helm, Andy Reid at coach, and then all the hands they got from the running back to the wide receiver and the defense. They are clicking, and they are a secret team. They are just as quiet as a team going into this with 11 wins as, say, even the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if they do make it to the Broncos, they will beat the Broncos because Peyton Manning is going to play like shit. And that defense is not going to be able to recover how horrible that offense is going to be. I get it. Brock Osweiler would be a better option, but they're going to go with Peyton. Again, he's the money. And he's going to go in, he's going to underperform, and everyone's going to turn on him. Why didn't you keep Brock Osweiler out there? Because he's the fucking backup quarterback. And it's going to be Pittsburgh and Kansas City for the AFC Championship. And those are my predictions for the first round going into the respective conferences, divisions, championships. And the last thing I want to talk about is, I'll talk about Johnny Manziel. And I don't know why we waste our time trying to analyze this guy. It's simple. He's a rich kid. He's a rich white male. This guy doesn't need football. He has all the privilege on the planet to do what the fuck he wants. And rather than fucking just throw the book at him and be like, nah, fuck you. They're like, oh, but we're trying. We're doing this. We're doing that. And maybe I'm going to sound pretty cruel, but fuck him. I'm a Johnny Manziel fan. I'll put it out there. Huge Johnny Manziel fan. Huge. I love Johnny Manziel. But he's a fuck up. And he gets chance after chance after chance. He fucking goes Carmen Sandiego on a motherfucker. He goes Waldo on a motherfucker. He goes to a 10-week rehab. Comes back. He gets the job from McCown. He plays well. And then he goes to a show and he's holding a bottle of Hennessy. Then he tries to cover this shit up. He sits for 2 weeks. He comes back, gets a starting quarterback job again. He talks about how he feels like he got a concussion. He goes to get protocol. They say, don't even worry about showing up. He takes a picture with him and his dog. Next thing you know, he's spotted in Las Vegas. And you could talk about, he wants to sabotage here. He doesn't want to play here. He doesn't want to do this. No, he just wants to do whatever the fuck he wants. There's no ins and outs about this. He just wants to do what the fuck he wants because he's Johnny fucking football. And as long as the media loves the storyline of him and hopefully he'll get redemption. I don't see redemption from him. I just see him just finally going and taking over his parents' fucking, oil company. The guy's a billionaire. The guy doesn't need football. He needs to compete, but he needs to do what the fuck he wants. If there was ever a chance that you could diagnose another motherfucker with affluenza and why they're such a fuck up, you could diagnose this son of a bitch. This guy has everything. And he doesn't give a shit. Oh, oh, but Johnny, what's wrong with him? He's a fuck up. He'll never unfuck up. Ever. He'll never unfuck up. And then you take his friend, Josh Gordon. Well, they're not friends, but you see what I'm saying. Who gets busted for weed, and motherfuckers is like, fuck that thug. Fuck him. Like, this guy is possibly could have been the greatest wide receiver this season, the last 2 seasons, and he got caught drinking beer. You got Johnny getting caught with all sorts of bullshit. Now, I get it. Gordon signed up for this. He had an agreement to how he's going to work it, and then you have certain policies and certain punishment that go along with certain actions. Again, I get it. I'm not going to be like, well, this person did this person did this. That's not the argument I'm trying to have. I'm talking about the compassion. I'm not talking about the rules. I'm talking about fucking compassion. And how people all of a sudden are all like, oh, I hope Johnny can break out of his problems. Versus somebody who's just like smoking weed and drinking beer, and they're like, fuck that thug. It's silly to me. It's really silly to me. Fuck Johnny Manziel. And if I was the Cleveland Browns, I would get rid of him. I say, hey, I'll eat that fucking first round draft pick. I'll eat it. I'll fucking eat it. And we're already fucked up anyway. We lost our coach. It ain't like some other coach is going to show up there that wants to fucking have Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, Johnny Fuck Up as their number one fucking guy. Ain't no coach going to Cleveland for that shit. They're going to be like, yo, you get that Johnny motherfucker the fuck out of there. And then we'll talk. But as long as he's there and this kind of bullshit, But just Johnny alone. Stop diagnosing this guy. Stop trying to analyze this guy. He is a fuck up. He can be whatever he wants. That's his whole thing. That's called privilege. That's called affluent. You look at all the people in the league. They need those jobs. They have families to take care of. Nuclear ones they made on their own. This guy don't need football. He don't need that football check. He need Vegas is what the fuck he needs. And Steph Curry isn't ruining the game, people. I was watching the game when Mark Jackson said it's ruining the game. I said, man, Bleacher Report is going to eat this up. He was just talking about how his game is perceived. He is an outlier to be able to take those shots and make them. He's an outlier. You know what an outlier is? A special case. Someone who is in that position not because of hard work, not because of anything. It's because they have the savoir-faire. And not everyone can do that. Like Bubba Watson not taking a single fucking golf practice. Never. He never had a practice coach. He never had a fucking lesson. He just went out there and played golf, and he's just happened to have a knack for it. He has 2 green jackets to show for it. Right? This guy, the Steph Curry guy, this guy is a freak of nature. He's from pedigree too. His parents, professional athletes. He's pedigree. And it's just something about the guy that he can just do those maneuvers. Not anyone can do it. What Mark Jackson is saying is people are going to look at his game as if they can do it. Do all these around the fucking crossovers and and toss up a fucking 3-pointer, with 5 guys on him. He shoots it with his feet from half court and it goes in. Like everyone thinks they can do that. Before it was dunking. If you were like 6'3" up, you just dunk and you were great. Everyone wants to fly to the basket, but not everyone is fucking 6'3", 6'6", 6'9", 7 foot. Dunk is hard. Dunking ain't easy. Just because you can jump to dunk don't mean you can get dunks in games. Those motherfuckers are banging you up. But now that's out the window. Everyone's lazy and fat, but still want to cross motherfuckers over and shoot threes like the and one shit. Just like that. But and1, they destroyed the game because no one told these guys that they had a chance to go pro. So they said, hey, okay, I'm just going to play this style. It became fashion, right? Those people that wanted to do the and1 shit didn't want to be coached. But somehow someone kind of took their and1 influence into the league, and the league went to shit. It went to shit. And you could look at guys like LeBron as like, oh yeah, big guys taking 3-pointers. Whatever, dude, whatever. The game went to shit. The game is in a shithole right now. That's why I didn't even talk about it right now. But Steph Curry, it's not that he is ruining the game. It's not that like the whole Michael Jordan thing. Did I ruin the game? It's the perception of his game that is ruining the game. Okay, folks? And I think that was the point that Mark Jackson was saying. Man, I'm at 30 fucking 5 minutes. All right? I'm a Pacer fan. And I think at every show, I'm just going to give my little Pacer stats. Yesterday, we lost overtime in Miami. Our record now is 19-15. We lost in overtime 100 to 103 to the Miami Heat. George goes for 32, 7, 2, 2. And then 32 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 for 13 from 3-point. You need to shoot less 3-pointers, George. You can jump over everyone. Just jump over everyone and dunk on them. Mahimi, big night for the returning Mahimi. He got 32 minutes. Got the second most minutes on the night. He went 13-9 and 4 for 5 free throws, which is I can deal with that. And we play Orlando tomorrow. Will I watch that game? It's hard to keep up with all the Pacer games. But I have the app and I get the score. I try to keep up with what's going on. But, man, go Pacers. I've been a Pacers fan since 94. Reggie Miller is my favorite athlete of all time. And we had a chance at some point within the last 2 years. Paul George's injury fucked everything up. But he's playing like a bat out of hell right now. I wish we would get a better point guard. I really wish we would just gotten Ty Lawson or something. Because as much as I love Hill, you got George Hill. As much as I love him, he ain't no point guard. He just ain't. And I want Demonte Ellis to come into his own and all these things. I mean, we got a cohesive group, but losing Hibbert, he needed to go anyway, but he was a big part of the offense. We got some young guys. We got some young guys in there without having to fucking go through the whole roster. But losing West was huge. I wish, but he's with San Antonio. They talking about them motherfuckers. He passed up $12 million, man, to go play for like $1 million down in San Antonio for that ring. Oh, huge gap in our holes. God, he was like our fucking muscle, man. Oh, I miss that guy so much. Well, anyway, thanks for listening to episode 2 of Peter Talks Sports. I said I would go 20 minutes tops, but, it always bleeds over a couple of more minutes. If you like it, subscribe below. If you like wrestling, I do things on the wrestling tip. Peter's Raw Recap, I review Raw. I also have a homie, Jake. We do a thing called Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, where we have a conversation about Raw, review between the two of us, and then discuss other things in sports news and whereabouts. Peter Talks SmackDown. A lot of people don't like to watch SmackDown. I like to watch SmackDown. I do a fucking podcast on it. And then the New Day podcast is me and my friend Nathan Newman, and we talk almost exclusively about like the wrestling business. And then again, this is episode 2 of Peter Talks Sports. Thank you so much for checking this shit out. Subscribe below. Again, subscribe. Add me to your favorites. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean. Add me. Throw me in your fucking favorites playlist every Tuesday. You will hear these every Tuesday. If you don't dig the wrestling and you at least dig the sports, at least tune in every fucking Tuesday in the evening, hopefully before 8 o'clock to get these, okay? So, everyone have a wonderful week. If you love my wrestling stuff, I will see you tomorrow for Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. If you're not into wrestling, hopefully you will hear and see me next Tuesday for episode 3 of Peter Talks Sports. Watch out for this foreign object, guys. Peace.